Funny story though. James is a pothead. He's the biggest one I know, and he's not like shy about it, but he's great. He's like one of the best people that I know. And on the way to rehab, he offered me weed. He was like offered me to take a hit. He was like, "Oh, you're not going for weed, right?" I was just like, "Dude," and I'm just looking at him like, "Dude, are you serious right now?" I know, but like, but honestly, before I stopped drinking and stuff, like I stopped smoking weed because I started getting panic attacks a couple years earlier because like I went through like a breakup and I started, smoking and drinking and I started having panic attacks because all that would happen was I would get up in my head and just be trapped in my head with my thoughts. And then, I realized that wasn't the first time. I started thinking about it later because I was like, do you remember how like when I would come over and smoke with you like back in the day when we were like in our early 20s? I would come over and I would smoke and I would wait a half an hour exactly and then I would leave. And he was like, "Oh, I never noticed that." I was like, "Yeah, because I didn't want to be rude and just smoke and leave, but I would wait a half an hour exactly because I was like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here." And a half hour is a good cutoff point that I'm not being rude. And I'm just like, "All right, I gotta go." Like,
wow. Yeah.
Thinking back on it, like as much as I was like thought that like it was always keeping me kind of even, it was already starting to like kind of do its thing on me and Oh, the marijuana thing. I know a lot of people are. Sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent, but people will try to talk about the uses of marijuana and how and they almost don't want to admit the fact that it is a drug. And the same reason I started smoking crack, the same reason I did cocaine, the same reason I drank like I did, is the same reason that I started smoking marijuana. Yeah. I did it all for the same reasons, right? And there are people who can't go through a single day without using marijuana.
Yeah. More and more.
Right.
More people.
And just because it's socially acceptable doesn't mean it's not a problem, because guess what else is socially acceptable and a problem?
My favorite alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so true. Oh my gosh. Like I used to smoke, but I was always smoking and drinking. I don't think I ever really smoked without drinking. But at a certain point I realized like I don't really like the drinking. It's either making me paranoid or I'm just tired. And
you
so
mean smoking?
Smoking.
Okay.
So so alcohol was really my thing. I could take and leave, the weed. But also I've seen people have like psychotic breaks with weed. I remember being like a friend of mine in high school, pothead, smoked all the time and like would come to school high as a kite, but also doing like really weird, messed up things. I saw it again when I was in college with a friend. Had to go to rehab for it, or a psych ward. I don't think at that time they weren't really letting people into rehabs just for weed. So I'm pretty sure it was a psych ward that he went to. But yeah, I've seen it, and it was like it always made me think. I'm on the side where it's just like weed is a drug, just like any other drugs. For some people, they can do it and not have these crazy effects. Some people will have effects. Some people get addicted. Some people, it's the same as anything else. So I'm not against it or for it either way. Like with alcohol, it's just I want people to tap into like, if you have a problem, pay attention to that. And just because weed's natural and it comes from a plant doesn't mean that it can't also be harmful, because we know that all kinds of drugs come from plants, or natural things, and they can still have a negative effect.
All of them. Alcohol.
Yeah.
Is
tobacco,
right.
Like it's coffee beans.
There's so many things. And I love that. I love that. It's like everything starts out as a plant, but even like weed now, it's not like a lot of it just grows like that. It's genetically modified. Just like, we talk about genetically modified food, but you'll smoke a genetically modified marijuana plant and just like, well, it's natural, but it's not, because it doesn't just grow that way. Yeah. Somebody did science to make all these different strains of it and shit.
Yeah. So. What I thought was interesting when I went to rehab, I think there was a girl in there who was in there for weed, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. I also saw a guy who was in there for Adderall, which I thought was pretty cool too. So these things are starting to be taken more seriously, which is good.